So it finally happened. It finally came out. I was honestly kind of worried for a bit because this April was going to be very packed for me. I have a wedding and I gotta visit a school this month, so and just work in general. I was very scared I wouldn't even be able to see it tonight because a thunderstorm happened and the power at my work went out. There was a backup generator, of course, but I was very worried that the power would be out across the whole city, well, the area of the city I'm in, and it would just ruin the chance to see it tonight. But it did not completely take out all the power in the city, and I did get to see it tonight with some of my best friends in the entire world. I was just very grateful to see it with them, and yeah, the movie itself was better than I thought it would be. It's a very good movie. It's a very good animated movie. Um, where start? I guess with the man of the hour, Mr. Christopher Pratt. I know he's not Charles Martinet, and I would have preferred the voice actors of the games actually playing the characters they played for years on end. But Chris Pratt is far from the worst vocal performance in the movie. He's actually fine. It's not he. They do that annoying thing. I will talk about the little pet peeves I have about the whole movie, but for Chris Pratt himself, he does the Italian accent in like 1 minute of the movie during the Super Bros commercial with the Super Show theme. He does it for a bit, and then he goes to a slight Brooklyn accent. I can only call it a slight Brooklyn accent. It's fine. It's a fine. I think he does a fine job. He's far from the worst performance in the movie. Charlie Day, despite not being like huge vocal ranges, his voice is just kind of perfect for Luigi. So he's kind of it just he just kind of works throughout the whole movie. Charlie Day is a lot of fun in the movie. Jack Black kills it as Bowser. They kind of knew Jack Black would kill as Bowser. They give him all the best bits of the movie. He sings, of course. Jack Black sings in the movie. God, there's a lot going on in my head. Uh, Anya Taylor Joy's fine. She's not my preferred Princess Peach voice, but they're doing a different kind of take on Peach, and it's kind of taken from all sorts of places. I mean, she like the comics, like from the Nintendo Power days, I believe she's a lot more of an action girl in those comics, like in this movie, as opposed to most of the games. But I will say that I absolutely called that despite being girl boss Peach, she still gets kidnapped in the movie once as like willingly going to protect people, and the other time is like at the end of the movie where like Bowser's, I guess I'm doing spoilers. I apologize, everyone, but where like they grab her and hold her in place. It's not a lot, but she does technically get kidnapped in the movie, despite being very much a badass the whole movie. I guess like just talking about the worries I was going into the movie. Um, Mainly, I was not worried. I know Illumination or the Minions guys. One thing I was never ever going to be worried about was how the animation looked, because despite Illumination's kind of reputation, they make very pretty movies. And this movie is pretty much the perfect looking Mario movie. This is the Mario movie you always kind of wanted. It looks spot on. Even with the redesigns, you get used to them immediately. They're perfect. Every character looks spot on. They have the right amount of cartoony with like slight little, like you can see like the little threads in Mario's hair or like the denim texture. But then again, Mario games have been doing that like I feel like since Brawl, like since Super Smash Brothers Brawl, you can see like a clear like gradual turn from like green to yellow on Bowser's shoulders with his scales. It's a very pretty movie. All the worlds kind of pop. Like the Mushroom Kingdom looks great. Bowser's like floating kingdom looks great. Uh, DK Country looks great. I guess I call it DK Country. They call it like I think the Jungle Kingdom. They should have just called it. Well, I guess they should have called it Kong Country. I know it wouldn't make sense to just name it after one Kong, especially when since Donkey Kong isn't the main Kong. In terms of relevance to the story and like focus he is, but he isn't the ruler. He's the prince, I guess, which is weird. Donkey Kong's a prince, and that's weird. Um, Things I was worried about was, I guess, characterization, and I guess like tone, like the humor, because these are the minion guys after all. And there is a lot of the goofy slapstick stuff in the movie, which like is fitting for Mario. I feel like even like the games themselves have goofy slapstick, especially the well, I wouldn't call it goofy, but there is like humor. Clearly, it's a property that works with humor. With the Super Show, the Mario and Luigi games are very comedically focused. I feel like, despite having like world-ending threats every like game. Um, one thing I got wrong is the Goombas don't get a huge focus. It's mainly the Koopas, and despite them being clearly kind of like joke minions, as you not minions as in the minions, but people that work for Bowser. Um, Despite all that, uh, and they're not the annoying minion kind of humor. Their humor isn't aggravating. The humor honestly works for the most part. Um, what I think there were a few jokes that don't work, but I think like uh, like the slapstick is like kind of just expected, and it's fine slapstick. It's a very pretty movie, as I said, so visually it all flows really well. The Luma that's like a childlike voice that says very dark things. I feel like that's been in a lot of Illumination movies. I feel like Despicable Me has done that, but I think it's very funny in this movie. Um, what else to talk about? Characterization for a series that doesn't really do characterization a lot. It mainly because they're Miyamoto has the creator Shigeru Miyamoto has a weird thing with stories. I feel like he really wants to keep Mario a very simple story that just because the gameplay is more important for a Mario game than like the story. Like Zelda has a bigger focus on story, which makes sense. But the story on this is fine. It takes a lot more from like the olden days of Mario, I guess, where they are from Brooklyn. They are plumbers from Brooklyn, and they stumble upon the Mushroom Kingdom directly from like original like instruction manual lore and the Super Show. Um, it's again, even that's very simple, but it works because Mario is a very simple thing. It's a hero, a very like the underdog hero going up against the big bad. And in this movie, it really does kind of it kind of does like two different things of like Mario's the underdog, but like Mario's also like kind of the brave, like he will the guy who never gives up, and he's all which like is a good trait for an underdog, but he's also like he's very clearly supposed to be like the competent one. I get like between him and Luigi, and like he's always sticking up for Luigi. I guess this transitions to the characterization well. Um, I think everyone, for the most part, works. Bowser's kind of spot on from a lot of the games. I guess I've spoiled enough. I feel like the ending is like Bowser's plan is to marry the Princess Peach, which is very spot on for the a lot of the games that's Bowser's motivation changes from game to game, but it's a reoccurring thing that he wants to marry Peach, especially like Odyssey. That's like the main thing, and yeah, Bowser's kind of like a bitter incel, I guess. It's just the best way to say it. He does not take rejection very well, and he's pining after a girl way out of his league, um, which works. But and like the I guess the balance of Bowser, like that's always kind of been. a key point when I guess designing him, where he's intimidating. He should be intimidating, but he also needs to be kind of goofy because it's like Mario's like the beginner's game for kids. Even though the games can be hard, like it's an introduction, and like kids draw Bowser. Kids like Bowser. So, like, he needs to be the right balance of intimidating and kind of goofy. And this movie, especially since it's Jack Black, it does it very well. Again, Jack Black, I kind of forget how often he's very good at voice acting. Like, Brutal Legend, he doesn't sound like himself. He at least tries to do a different tone with his voice. In this one, he does a different tone with his voice too, and it's very good. Luigi's spot on. Like he's always kind of been the character with the most characterization, like clear character. He's the cowardly one. He's the wimpy one. And this movie very like the scene where Luigi lands in the Dark Lands is very much reminiscent of Luigi's Mansion, especially because he gets chased by dry bones. So he's and again, since it's Charlie Day, who constantly sounds like he's about to have a panic attack, it works. Mario is again a very simple character because it's Mario. He's always been supposed to be the flat character, but he's always been like portrayed as brave and jolly and friendly. And this movie does a very good job of making him likable. He's very charming. You very much root for him. So. Princess Peach, a girl boss, is what you expect. It's fine. It's not as annoying as people say it is. Um, Toad. Toad is. I really wish they just like he's kind of like a mix of just regular like default Toad you'd see in like Super Mario Brothers 2 and like Mario 3D World, and like Captain Toad because he's the adventurous one. He wants to go on adventures, and he has like the backpack full of items, which I don't feel like they used as much as they could have. Um, who else? Who else? There are plenty of side characters in the movie, like Foreman Spikes in the movie, and he's like in it for like two scenes, and it's kind of like set up for like the brothers are nothing, they don't do nothing, and then they show him up at the end, and then he like cheers for them, and uh, what else? What else? What else? Um, I get yeah, I guess that's it. It's a very simple story. I mean, it is Mario. I guess like the main appeal of Mario is the worlds that you can explore, and this movie does a good job of showing the worlds, like very much clearly defining, like making sure like none of them blend together. I mean, they all feel like they exist in the same world, but they don't. They're very distinct from each other. Like the Mushroom Kingdom, especially like when they get to Peach's castle, they're not afraid of doing game elements. Not like the '90s movie. They have floating platforms all over the place, and they never really explain why. They have a throwaway line about it. Um, I guess. Yeah, I really enjoyed this movie. I guess like now is to get to the little nitpicks, the little like the nitty gritty stuff that's very kind of turns off the critic in me, the very snobbish critic in me, that has to like give this movie a 2.5 out of 10 or whatever the fuck critics critics don't like this movie for some reason. It's like 55% on Rotten Tomatoes for critics score, but like the audience likes it because, of course, they do. Um, I guess one thing I probably should have expected from Illumination movies is the annoying choice of popular songs. If I hear that Kill Bill sting one more time, I'm going to break something. It is you. I feel like it's used in every kids movie, despite the fact that Kill Bill is definitely not a kids movie. But it's a song people recognize, so you gotta put it in. Oh, people recognize Thunderstruck, even though it makes even less sense to be in a Mario movie, so we gotta put it in. Um, Holding Out for a Hero is directly just from Shrek. I guess that like that fits more. And it's Take on Me, of course, because I feel like at least one movie every year since like 2014 has used Take on Me. I don't know if that's 100% true, but I am so sick of hearing Take on Me in movies, and I like the song Take on Me, of course, but it's very much a hey, people recognize these songs, so we gotta put them in the soundtrack, even though they're in the songs in every movie. If this movie had replaced Thunderstruck with Eye of the Tiger, it would have pretty much completed like the trifecta of songs you hear way too much in movies. And really, when the score just uses like does like orchestral versions of Mario music, it works 100% better. It's more fun, it's more fitting, it's not as corporate, I guess, even though like it's Illumination and Nintendo and they're very corporate, like the most corporate of entities in their respective worlds, I guess, outside of Disney. um I guess if we're going to talk about bad casting, I have grown to accept Chris Pratt's Mario. He does the slight Brooklyn accent. Um, Plus, they do Charles Martinet in the movie. I think he plays a character that is very specific, that just outright does the Mario voice, and I think he looks like Jumpman from the original Donkey Kong game. And I think he might be the brother's dad too. I think he's like uh, well, I guess one thing I just came up with. They never say their full names. Their last name is not Their full name is not Mario, Luigi Mario. I know that was from the dumb '90s movie, but that's such a dumb yet like weirdly weirdly charming thing about them. But they never say their last names. But I've grown to accept Chris Pratt as Mario. Anya Taylor Joy is not my preferred pick for Princess Peach, but she's fine in the movie. Jack Black and Charlie Day are perfect. Um, Keegan Michael Key is really good as Toad. I wish he played every single Toad. I know that probably would be weird, but that's the joke, that they're all Toad. They don't do like specific Toads. Like they don't do Captain Toad. There's no Toadette. There's no Toadsworth. But I guess that's fine. That's a lot of names to throw out. Um, Seth Rogen as Donkey Kong, the prime example of someone not do. And I like Seth Rogen. I feel like he's very funny. He can be very funny. And I actually thought he wasn't that bad in something like Invincible, where you could like miss that it's supposed to be Seth Rogen playing like Alan the alien. Um, he outright does the Seth Rogen laugh twice in the movie, and both times he does it, I broke down. I could not take him seriously as Donkey Kong. Um, it just takes it kind of took me out of the movie. That's the kind of the time where like celebrity casting, like it was very distracting. I think my friend Mark said, if at least I think it was Mark who said that if Donkey Kong just grunted every time instead of talked, it would have been better. And it could have still been Seth Rogen. I mean, Sean Penn was that grunting bird in Angry Birds, so it's not out of the realm of possibility. Um, and I guess Cranky Kong's voice, I think it's Armisen. I can't remember how to pronounce his last name correctly. I didn't really like his cranky voice. It sounded very odd, very forced to sound old. When even though I'm pretty sure that guy's like middle aged now, but that wasn't a voice I was particularly like buying. I guess you could call it that. Um, I think those are really my only complaints with the movie. It's a very good movie. I think. I'm sorry that I didn't really pizzazz this review with like jokes throughout, but that's really kind of my thoughts on the movie. I think it's very good. I think it's very fun. It's kind of the perfect. It's the Mario movie we wanted forever. Um, it's it's a good movie. Even like critically, I can't say it's like, I guess you could go like the pacing's a bit off. And oh wait, I remember the first plumbing scene, the one and only plumbing scene in the movie that deals with a dog that is very much just a leftover from Illumination's Secret Life of Pets movie, because they love doing funny pet stuff because that makes kids laugh. Even though none of the kids in the theater really laughed at that. Um, if you want to bring out like the snobbish critic in me, that's a very corporate, very cynical, appealing to audience masses kind of thing. But you know, it shows the brothers down on their luck. Of course, it establishes Luigi's kind of a scaredy cat, and Mario is the headstrong, brave one who doesn't always succeed at what he wants to do. But I'm very glad. This is an off-topic thing, but I'm very glad every time I've seen a movie, I've never, even when I see like MCU movies, I've never gotten like the hyper fan audience that will scream at the top of their lungs the moment a character appears on screen and says their name for the first time. I'm very glad that didn't happen. Um, and that's never happened to me, and it still hasn't happened to me. Even though there's like tons of references in the movie, and I don't feel like like, I guess they're perfect for those YouTube channels. Like, here's like 87 Easter eggs you missed in the Mario movie. That like just like if you miss something, you're fine. The movie, it's not as distracting as like the worst of the MCU, I guess. Even though I like a lot of MCU movies, it's not distracting. It's like element the references they do in the movie are very clearly like push the story forward. I mean, like the main MacGuffin in the movie is the Power Star, and it's like, of course it's the Power Star, but it's like it makes sense. Like they do Mario Kart. I guess that's a little on the nose, but it's like they're driving from one area to the next. Of course they're gonna do the Mario Karts. Um, I guess like just I guess the other worst things of the movie is like, I guess just randomly Peach's backstory is like she's is just unexplained, which I guess it's setting up for the sequel, of course. And I guess Brooklyn floods at one point, and then we never hear about it. And the next time we go back to Brooklyn, Brooklyn's fine. Um, yeah, but yeah, I guess again, it's like the movie looks great. I mean, it looks perfect. The voice acting, for the most part, is fine. Um, the humor works a lot of the time, especially like Bowser. It's a good movie. It's a good family movie. Like, there's nothing wrong with taking your kids to see it. That you will not hate yourself if you take your kids to see the Mario movie. Unlike other, I feel like they showed the trailer for the new Trolls movie. I feel like you will hate yourself if you sit in the theater with your kids to see that movie. That's very condescending, I know, and I'm sorry to sound like an obnoxious critic, but that's just how I feel. That movie does not look appealing to me. To me. What else? What else? What else? Um, but that's going into trailer talk, and that's not really the main focus of it. This video, the main focus is the Mario movie, and the Mario movie is good. It's I don't 100% understand why critics don't like it. Again, like I guess like little nitpicky things of like the pacing's off in like the first 10 minutes. Even it's just the movie works. It's fine. It's better than fine. It's pretty good. It's the Mario movie you wanted. I'm sorry to be a broken record, but this is just how I feel like talking. Um, so yeah, I'd recommend seeing it. If you are a fan of the Mario games, you will absolutely enjoy it. If you're not a fan, I'd say it's still a fine time. I don't know. I don't know if you get the same kicks out of it as the rest of us, but like if you're like taking your kids to see it, that's a perfectly, you will have a fine time. You'll laugh a few times. You'll enjoy like pretty looking visuals. Uh, Maybe you'll enjoy the overused music, unlike me. Um, and I guess yeah, this has kind of been a journey for me, predicting, like going from one random tweet I did like 3 years ago, kind of blowing up on Twitter, then like nobody caring about what I had to say afterwards. But I hope this is some sort of conclusion for you guys, and I guess to me until like the sequel comes out eventually. Um, Maybe I'll do more movie reviews. I like movies. I like movies a lot. I like video games a lot. We'll, we'll see what happens. So that's all the time I have for today. Now I have to go back to playing Resident Evil 7. So take care.